Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Thursday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. LeBron James leads a comeback for the ages that may have rescued the Lakers season. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everyone for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. This one is always free. It is never behind a paywall, and Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where over 23,000 subscribers are all hanging out wondering exactly what happened Wednesday night at the Crypt, where LeBron James leads an unprecedented, even for him, an unprecedented comeback, down 21 points after they give up the first bucket of the fourth quarter to the Clippers. The Lakers storm back. They outscore the Clippers 39-16 in the fourth quarter, 19 of those coming from LeBron James. So much to get into on this show, this episode of the show. Do want to let everybody know that today's episode is brought to you by Grammarly. Make a bigger impact at work at Grammarly. Sign up and download for free at grammarly.com/podcast, where you, Andy, probably could use some of their AI capabilities to try to find the right words to contextualize just what LeBron did in the fourth quarter, because, oh my God, it was amazing.
Well, you mentioned this being unprecedented. I heard Dave McMenamin asking after the game, LeBron, during the post-game press conference, this was the first time in LeBron's 21 seasons that he's ever been part of a team that had a 21-point comeback in the fourth quarter. Now, 21 seasons that LeBron has been a part of, that is an awful lot of games. And this is unprecedented for LeBron. Frankly, it is quite rare for teams, period. To put this in perspective, as one would guess, this was the biggest fourth quarter comeback of the season for the Lakers. It is the fourth biggest fourth quarter comeback in Lakers franchise history. And LeBron, you mentioned the 19 points he had in the fourth quarter. He outscored the Clippers himself. The fourth quarter was LeBron 19, Clippers 16. There were some other Lakers that chipped in the fourth. We'll mention them as well. LeBron's line in the fourth quarter, 19 points on 7 of 12 shooting, 5 of 8 from behind the arc, 4 assists against just 1 turnover. He and D'Angelo Russell had 8 of the 10 assists for the Lakers in that fourth. D'Angelo Russell, among a lot of other guys, played very well in the fourth quarter. But it's funny, Brian. We had the show for Wednesday where we were talking about, LeBron taking issue with Bronny falling out of the mock drafts, and in the meantime, Brian Windhorst saying that he was hearing or sensing, however you want to put it, that LeBron could be looking for a 3-year deal, presumably with the Lakers. And we were talking about how on one hand, LeBron is still playing at a high level and the Lakers can't really do anything if LeBron walked anyway, but it is growing more complicated given where LeBron is at this stage of his career, trying to build around him and feature him while also trying to have him do as little as possible. After this game, I decided, you know what? F it, man. Sign the guy till he's 55. Like, I am done trying to think about this logically. Like, he should retire when he gets an AARP card. Like, screw it, man. I don't give an F anymore. Like, this was unreal to watch. Like, not just the three-point shooting that was scorching, but the way the team, but LeBron as the orchestrator, kept manufacturing these looks, getting every single switch that they wanted. Poor Daniel Tice between having LeBron shoot over him all the time and then the brief era of Point Plumlee that resulted in back-to-back turnovers for the Clippers. He shall never run a fast break again.
No, like, I mean, that was
just amazing.
That part wasn't good. And it's like the Lakers were, and we'll talk about this more in the next segment because of just sort of what was going on here. The Lakers were really bad, like really bad, up until LeBron dragged them back out of it. Like this was, it wasn't just wow, great comeback or whatever. Like this was a game that looked like it had the potential to bury them. I will tell you the vibe on Lakers social media, not good, Andy. A lot of people ready to throw dirt on this thing. I was ready to have Lakers are real close to their come to Jesus moment if they're not there already, based on, the really bad effort. I mean, execution, whatever the right word is.
Both actually at times.
Inexplicably poor workmanship through the first three quarters. But just one of the things that made this
really the second and third. The first quarter was pretty.
They were pretty great. They were tied after
the
second and third were terrible.
Second and third were disastrous.
Second particularly.
Yeah.
But like part of what made this remarkable is just the speed. Like I went back and I was thinking about like, when did I actually start believing like they could win the game? Because like the Lakers for the first, like, it's another Lakers fake comeback. Here we go. When you start to look at this thing, it's like LeBron, I looking at it again, I was like, oh my God, I almost didn't realize how fast LeBron erased this lead. It really was LeBron. So, Cam Reddish hits a 3 at 11:34. Then LeBron makes a 3. D'Lo has a couple free throws. LeBron makes a 3 at 9:36. They're down by 12. LeBron makes a 3 at 8:47. They're down by 9. Russell makes a 3 at 8:01. They're down by 7. I think at this part I might maybe be thinking they might be able to get back in this game. LeBron drives the bucket and hits one inside the arc at 7:33. They're down by 5. LeBron makes a 3 at 6:54. They're down by 5. Kawhi gets a bucket. LeBron gets a bucket. LeBron makes a 3 at 4:36. They're down by 2. And then AD at the 4-minute mark tied it. So LeBron, it wasn't even like they did this 21-point comeback and with a buzzer beater at the 8 minutes later, this lead, it was gone. The Lakers tied the game in 8 minutes. And LeBron, I'm just double checking to make sure I'm correct. Yeah. LeBron didn't score. Like when the Lakers went ahead, that was other guys. All 19 of LeBron's points were part of the comeback, the literal comeback to get them tied. And it was done within 8 minutes. It's remarkable.
It's funny you say that because, first of all, it's worth noting LeBron went 5 of 8 in the fourth quarter from 3, but other guys combined went 4 for 6. D'Lo hit 2 threes. Rui was 1 of 2. Cam Reddish was 1 of 1. So, obviously the fourth quarter story was LeBron, but other guys needed to step up and make shots, and they did. But you mentioned how quickly LeBron erased this. It was really apropos of a game that had crazy runs. Like,
yes,
there was a period in the third quarter where it felt like, okay, the Lakers are all of a sudden getting momentum. Like they are back in this thing. Like it's starting to feel like this thing is going to maybe shift and we're going to start having some back and forth. And then the Clippers went on just as big of a run to get the thing back to almost 20. And it's like, I guess we're done. Like this is over. Like the game had a lot of really crazy swings, especially in the second half. Yeah. And what's also funny too, and we're going to talk more at length about the details of this game, but I was just thinking about it. The group that got the team off to this really good start in the fourth quarter, obviously fueled by LeBron. Again, can't be said enough, but it was LeBron, D'Lo, Reddish, Taurean Prince, Jackson Hayes at the stop of the fourth that really helped get them going in the right direction on both sides of the ball.
And I was going to mention that heading into the break. It's like, the other thing that had to happen, you talk about contributions from other players, is like the comeback doesn't work. Can't come back from down 21 unless you get stops. And the Lakers, after that Plumlee basket to open the fourth quarter, the Clippers had 3 points until Norman Powell made a 3-pointer at the 7-minute mark. So like you went basically scoreless for 5 minutes.
I was just going to say that same group that helped generate that fourth quarter comeback was the same group at the start of the second quarter where everything fell apart.
Gave it up. So, that's exactly
just
right.
Never know.
All right. I want to, we mentioned the defense. We do need to kind of put this one in context. I just have some other thoughts about like what we just saw. So we'll get into that. And then very key comments the Lakers made about tonight's game. Remember, the Lakers play again tonight, all of which we will get to next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by eBay Motors, and our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Couple choices: DeAndre Hunter with the Hawks. He's shooting well, and with Trae Young out, the touches and the shot attempts, they're going to go up. And old friend Dennis Schroeder with the Nets now. Ben Simmons is coming off the bench. The Nets are having 5 really important games next week for whatever the hell they're doing. Schroeder's going to have some short-term appeal. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. And there's nothing worse than having your vehicle break down in real time. It's happened to me, and I wish I had been using eBay Motors back then because I wouldn't have suffered through it. They got over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, so you can make sure it's always running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
All right. So Lakers playing tonight. As a reminder, 7:30 is the tip against the, as Anthony Davis put them, the Wizards, who are not playing for anything right now. And this becomes a critical must-win to not give up the gains that they had on Wednesday night with this remarkable comeback. Reminder, you can catch every minute of Lakers hometown broadcasts with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Lakers. There is obviously no blueprint here, Andy, for I think the Lakers have found a formula that they can use going forward to win. They fall behind 21 and have LeBron lead you back in the last 9 minutes of the game. But similar to the Boston game, this is one of those potential pivot points where you look at it and say, the Lakers got a win that was very meaningful, that they, in one way, shape, or form, weren't supposed to get. And from as a practical matter, this game was hugely important for the Lakers to preserve any chance that they have to get themselves higher than a 10 seed in the West. And that's essentially, they move a half game ahead of Golden State, but they're essentially tied with the Warriors right now. But if they wanted any chance, this game was hugely important, for that quest, if you want to call it.
Yeah. I mean, it came on a night where Sacramento lost. So, that's the team right now that the Lakers are chasing next. They're a half game behind the Mavericks for that 7 seed. The Lakers have 2 more games coming up against Sacramento. They're currently 0-2 on the series, but I don't know off the top of my head how the tiebreakers would work if, say, they were even. But the best way to eliminate this as a question is win both of these games, keep winning, and hopefully just pass Sacramento.
Right.
And then you don't have to explain any of these rules
Well,
to
at the very
anybody.
least, I know what it is if it's 3-1 Sacramento.
Right. Then
I think it's conference record, but
I don't know. But bottom line, keep winning these games, particularly against the teams that you are directly chasing, and the minutia of the tiebreakers start becoming less important. But also, too, like this was a game about resiliency. Like Anthony Davis talked about afterwards, how everybody stuck together. And he said, quote, with the help of LeBron being LeBron, other guys then, whether you want to call it inspired, whether they might have been scared to death not to come through given what LeBron was doing at that point. Like guys started doing their part. And they also started erasing some of the problems that were happening in the first 3 quarters of this game. Like among the things that may not jump out at people right away if you didn't see the entire game or you're just looking at the box score, they stopped sending the Clippers to the line. Like the first half, the Clippers kept going to the line. They kept getting all these cheap points, even though the Lakers in the third quarter were making a bleep ton of mistakes and often playing pretty terrible and pretty sloppy. They still didn't send the Clippers to the line. And that was a really big deal. Like the Lakers had too many turnovers for the entirety of the game, 17, but they only had 2 in the fourth quarter. And in the meantime, they were more opportunistic of the Clippers' turnovers than the Clippers were of theirs. The Lakers only gave up 15 points off 17 turnovers, and the Clippers gave up 30 points off 14 turnovers. And Brian, we had talked about heading into this game, the Clippers' defensive slippage had been there, particularly off their own turnovers.
Yeah.
And, basically the Lakers had 31 fast break points. This was another area where the Clippers have been vulnerable of late defensively. Like it took a while, but they finally started really poking at the areas where the Clippers had been vulnerable leading up to this game.
Yeah, and it's hard to the Earth 2 version of this show where LeBron has a normal fourth quarter and the Lakers lose like you're supposed to when you're down 21. I think we spend a lot of time talking about just the horrendous offensive execution for the Lakers overall. Like a team that had been pretty good offensively was awful. I mean, particularly like you say in that second quarter, certainly, in stretches of the first, but like second quarter into the third, just the offensive execution was really bad, uncharacteristically bad. I mean, they've been bad defensively, of late, but the offense still, they've been able to figure out, we're going to run plays, we're going to do this. The other thing I do want to mention, and it wasn't necessarily as fundamental, something you missed, and the box score doesn't jump out necessarily. But before because there's a couple other things I want to get to. This was the best Spencer Dinwiddie's looked in a couple games.
Yep. Yes.
With 6 assists, 7 points, 3 of 6 from the floor, 20 minutes. He wasn't integral to the fourth quarter comeback, this and that. But a side note that could become important, hopefully will become important going forward, is that Dinwiddie had his best game in his last few.
Yeah, I had actually been concerned about Dinwiddie during this game because there was a possession where he ended up matched up on Kawhi on a drive where he ended up fouling Kawhi, but in the meantime, there was a collision between them. His right shoulder, he kept rubbing it in the first half, I believe it was. And I was like, oh, is he injured? Is he trying to play through this? Because I know his shooting has not been there for a lot of this season, but even if, I pointed this out on Twitter and a few people responded at Cam Brothers like, oh no, Spencer Dinwiddie can't shoot. Or what I'm like, I not a bad joke, but like you need him to at least have a threat to shoot. Right. Like you need teams to play him like he's going to shoot. Otherwise, he can't be nearly as effective a playmaker. But you're right. This was actually it's not going to leap off the box score, but this was a nice game for Dinwiddie.
Yeah, he finished, a couple, good playmaking, a couple finishes at the rim. The 3-point shot's still not great, 1 of 4, but he had a couple baskets. At least it's trending in the right direction. But before we get to kind kind of turning to tonight's game, I do want to have a quick conversation about this, just because like I don't like doing everything like, oh my God, it's so remarkable. LeBron at age 39, like literally everything that he does. It's sort of, like almost just a given. Like this is the context in which we're working. Is LeBron does remarkable things at age 39. This is one of the exceptions to the rule. And I think, in a remarkably frustrating Lakers season, excuse me, at least for me, my perspective, when I see stuff like this, it's like, yes, this season has been incredibly frustrating from a Lakers fan standpoint. This can be an infuriating team to watch. It was infuriating for 3/4 of this game before it wasn't. And look, in the grand scheme of things, this comeback might become a footnote to a disappointing season. I don't know. It is worth stopping to take a moment and appreciate really cool things when they happen, independent of the Michigas of this season. This was really cool to watch, and basically unprecedented in LeBron's career. And oh, by the way, 39-year-old. Mm-hmm. Like this was something amazing to see. And as a fan of sports, it's like worth stopping to appreciate it, even while knowing it doesn't solve all the Lakers' problems and this and that and whatever.
For one night, the problems were solved. I'll take it.
There's something to be said for that. They need to win Thursday, and I will tell you, they said all the right stuff after the game. We'll get into it next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Grammarly, and Brian and I have both been paid to write in various capacities, various mediums for about 25 years. We both love to write, but writing can be really challenging. There can be brain locks, just struggles. Even after all this time, writing is never truly easy. And that's what makes Grammarly really valuable. Grammarly supports you from start to finish for over 10 years. Grammarly has been powered by trustable AI technology to help you across all the places where you write the most. And with one click, Grammarly can help you brainstorm, rewrite, and reply so you can improve productivity for you and your teams. And I've really appreciated Grammarly's suggestions for phrasing. Just sometimes really subtle tweaks can make a huge difference of how things read on the page. And it's also really useful for managing time. Grammarly can help you summarize your emails, make suggestions to reply in seconds, and you have a big presentation coming up. Let Grammarly create a personalized outline to get you organized so you can transform your ideas into a compelling presentation. And best part, free. So start being more productive at work. Go to Grammarly.com/podcast to download for free today. That's Grammarly.com/podcast.
So Lakers versus Wizards, 7:30 is the tip at the Crypt. You can catch every moment of the Lakers hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Lakers sometime between now and the end of the season. I will learn to say SXM app without stumbling, but today is not that day. One of the things that stuck out to me about all the post-game comments is basically everyone, like pretty early and quick in their post-game responses, were like, and if we do not win tonight, meaning, if they don't win against the Wizards tonight, it will undo it. Like they were acutely aware, Andy, I thought, of having to follow Wednesday with a win tonight.
Yeah, and they should be, because this is a team that has crapped the bed after achievement on multiple occasions. I mean, it's what they've done over the course of the season. It's the reason that this was something I actually noticed today when I was just taking a look at the standings, trying to figure out where everybody's kind of shaken out right now. The Lakers, and even after this win tonight, they are the only team in the entire NBA with a winning record and a negative point differential. They're the only ones. And that makes sense because they've been incredibly frustrating, incredibly difficult to predict in terms of how they're going to look at any given moment. It's been very difficult to figure out when momentum will arise, how long it'll last. It's a very, I think it's not just difficult for us to predict as people who pay very close attention to this team, cover them as a job. I think it's very difficult for them to predict inside the locker room. And that has been frustrating for them. But yeah, the stakes of this game against, old friend Kyle Kuzma and the bumbling Jordan Poole, they're huge. This, man, Jordan Poole has become a meme, man. That guy has become a straight up meme. I don't know who is more unhappy with that situation with the Wizards, Jordan Poole being on that team or Wizards fans watching Jordan Poole be on that team. But nobody seems like there are Wizards fans right now going, you know what, Draymond, I get it. I'm not saying I condone it, but I get it.
Yeah. Bumbling Jordan Poole.
Do want to mention too, by the way, just to make sure it's noted, for anybody who wasn't aware, Cam Reddish did play tonight. Thought he played well. I thought defensively he was very active. There were a lot of possessions where whether Harden scored or not, because he was one of the primary defenders of James Harden, I thought he did a really good job making him work. I think Reddish's presence also, if nothing else, led to something that a lot of Laker fans wanted to see, which is fewer minutes for Taurean Prince. I don't think these are unrelated matters. As I also predicted heading into this game, Cam Reddish's presence means Max Christie doesn't need to wear a uniform under his warmups. But I think that was the direction Darvin was moving in regardless. But I thought Reddish, having him back, it's not the reason they won this game, but I thought it made a positive difference.
It does make a difference. Reddish played 20 minutes. Taurean played 17.
Yep.
And I think, you were talking about, them not being able to predict what they're going to be from night to night. And I think that's definitely true. And I do think part of that is because they've had such, I don't mean this as an excuse for Darvin. I don't mean this as an excuse for the team broadly, any of that. But one of the things that is obscured by the fact that LeBron and AD have been healthy for most of the year is the churn in the supporting cast has made it very difficult for them to kind of lean into an identity. I know there are people really upset, the Lakers have gone away from playing big. They've gone away from playing big. It's like, well, you look at the lineups that they have available to them right now, there isn't a big lineup, you have your starting lineup basically, or, if you leave Rui and LeBron out there with Jackson Hayes, but Hayes, while he played well in his second shift, I think we are experiencing some of the Jackson Hayes roller coaster in terms of,
and Anthony Davis also quickly, he picked up not as quick as he had in the previous.
Oh, I know. I meant to mention this. Yeah.
But he did pick up 2 first quarter fouls, and they were basically within about a minute of each other.
26 seconds, I think it was.
Yeah. About 11 minutes into the first quarter.
Right. And so
that led to at some, again, Hayes, like you mentioned, he was part of the fourth quarter that, got the Lakers back on track. And, he got shouted out by a lot of people as having been a positive part of that. But the second quarter was not great for Hayes. But the reason
and
I
he
thought
still
of that,
all of that said, only played 11 minutes. So
right,
it's like
the reason I even thought of that in the first place is you were mentioning going bigger, and it becomes more difficult to do that if Anthony Davis is in foul trouble and you have a feeling with Hayes less can be more.
Right.
You're out of options at this point. There's nobody else.
And so it's hard for the Lakers to, when you look at who's left, who are the best players who are left, it's this assortment of wings and guards and stuff. But what
Rui and LeBron
Reddish,
can only play so many minutes.
right? And what having Reddish back allows them at least to add size so that your biggest remaining wing isn't Taurean Prince.
Yeah.
Like you can add somebody with a little bit more weight behind him. And, he's a flawed player and this, that, whatever, but he's a big dude. And that is something that is missing. Rui played 29 minutes. LeBron played 37. Obviously, that's not a number that can go up. And even with the sort of early blip of foul trouble, and those, by the way, were the only 2 fouls he picked up. AD played 36. They're, 28, 20, 25 to 32 or 30. Like that's a lot of minutes for Rui. Like, I don't think, it's hard to expect him to get more than that. It's like the inconsistency comes, I think, in part because from night to night, sometimes they're a small team and sometimes they're a big team. And sometimes they can really lean into that large identity and other times they can't. And then, Jackson Hayes is not playing well right now. So maybe we got a little less confidence in him. And then Christian Wood is gone. And so it is this hopefully at least can be what they are, to where they have a little bit of wing size with Cam. You can give them, 15 to 25 minutes a night, depending. And Prince can give them 15 to 20, depending. And, and you get a little bit of size back, like just something to put a body on some, the type of wings and players that teams like the Clippers can throw at you.
Yeah, and really quick before we go, we talked about resiliency and hopefully this becoming something team-wide that inspires the best out of them. Even taking into account the first 3 quarters where the Lakers were often all over the place and everybody had a hand at some point in the struggles that they had. Even LeBron had a few bad plays in the second and third quarter that led to this. Also, everybody found moments where they made, I think, pretty critical contributions. I mentioned D'Angelo Russell's fourth quarter. Rui had a really good fourth quarter. He also had an incredible defensive play where he broke up a pass. The pass got deflected high in the air. Rui outleapt whoever was on him, tapped it forward for, I believe, a basket for Reeves in transition. Austin Reeves had a critical possession in the fourth quarter where he got matched up on Norm Powell on an island defensively and didn't allow Powell to go anywhere, and it led to a 24-second violation. Like, you can go up and down the roster, and even the guys who did not play perfect games overall, or even if you thought didn't play well overall, I think everybody found a place where they made a contribution that matters, and that's something you can think about heading forward.
Yeah, you can take that in, carry that with you. Just the ability to take the complete 180-degree turn from where it looked like this was going to go to where they finished. And now, take care of business tonight against Washington. You're on a little 2-game winning streak here. And, the record isn't great, but now you're 5 games over 500. And, okay, bit of a murderer's row coming up here with, the Nuggets, followed by the Thunder, followed by the Kings, followed by the Bucks, followed by the Timberwolves. But it's all at home. And, you get to a place where, like, let's say you win 3 of those 5, or even really 2 of those 5 and play really competitively on the other one. Like, you're going to be playing some good basketball. You pick up some wins there, even if you tread water through that stretch. And we'll talk more about it, going forward. Like, there's this chance to, like, kind of feel good about how you are playing, even if the record doesn't totally reflect it. And get out and play some good basketball. And moments like this can be part of what turns it around. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with other 23,000, because that's the number. 23,000 subscribers. We will be back. Actually, Andy is doing radio tonight for 710 ESPN, the Lakers flagship radio station. So I will be back with our friend Harrison Fagan to break down what had better be a win. And if it isn't, there's nobody who would be more fun and enjoyable after somehow losing a game to the Wizards than our friend Harrison Fagan from Silver Screen and Roll and SB Nation. So all of that coming up tomorrow. We'll see everyone tomorrow night.